The story begins with Takagi Hatsu transferring to a quiet rural school. From day one, she keeps to herself, never trying to make friends. Iijima Hato, her classmate, can't take his eyes off her, noticing how lonely and detached she is from the school bus. Hayato considers himself an ordinary teenager. His friends nicknamed him Popo, and he's used to it. To stand out, he dyed his hair before high school and took up guitar, but now his thoughts are consumed by only one girl, the mysterious Takagi Hatsu. There are various rumors about Takagi. They say she's in poor health because she never exercises and vanishes right after class. On a hot July day, Hayato decides to skip class in the infirmary. Bursting through the door looking for the teacher, the boy freezes at the doorway, catching his classmate in her underwear. Out of surprise, both of them fall into a panic. Hayato begins to desperately make excuses, covering his eyes and insisting that it was an accident and he didn't see anything, while Hatsu, in shock, tries to cover herself with her clothes. Hayato, red with shame, keeps yelling that he saw absolutely nothing. However, at that moment, it isn't the girl's figure that catches Hato's eye. He admits that something else struck him much more. A strange medical device is attached right to Hatsu's chest. Embarrassment gives way to genuine confusion when the girl quietly asks if he has ever heard of the mysterious Koku Haku disease. Finding a private spot, Hatsu decides to have an honest conversation. She recalls that this rare ailment became known after the death of a celebrity and admits that she suffers from it herself. The girl explains that due to a weak heart muscle, her pulse is always irregular. Sadly, she adds a chilling fact. Every person is allotted a certain number of heartbeats from birth, but for people like her, this life reserve is much smaller than everyone else's. Hatsu holds out her smartphone to Hato, running a strange app. After a brief search, a chilling number appears on the screen, over 221 million. In a quiet, calm voice, the girl explains that this is the number of beats her heart has left. By her calculations, she has only 6 or 7 years left to live, and this app, linked to her personal ID, relentlessly counts down every moment until the end. Hayato explains that the pacemaker on her chest helps regulate her heartbeat and shows how many beats she has left. The girl mentions that other treatment options exist, but they are too expensive. Any increase in her pulse due to exercise or excitement literally shortens her already brief lifespan. Now Hayato understands why she avoids PE class. The girl confesses that due to her illness, she had to change schools to escape cruel rumors. But in Hayato, she sees someone who knows how to keep secrets. Looking into the distance, Hatsu ventures into painful sincerity. Truth be told, she deeply wants to have fun and make friends like normal teenagers, but the fear of death forces her to choose loneliness. She dreams of living every remaining second to the fullest, but fears that this thirst for life will kill her even faster. At that moment, she looks so vulnerable and sad that Hato's heart aches with compassion. Realizing that true feelings hide behind the mask of detachment, Hayato can no longer remain silent. He suddenly shouts the girl's name, making her startle. With unprecedented passion, he promises to help her enjoy every day and do everything to make her heart beat like crazy with happiness. Hatsu freezes in utter amazement, struck by his determination and this bold challenge to fate itself. Hayato's promise doesn't remain empty words, and soon they're both at the beach. Hatsu opens her mouth wide and shouts at the top of her lungs that it's the sea. Hayato stands behind her, carrying bags and smiling. Hatsu runs across the sand, calling Hato to see how huge the sea is. The young man admits he didn't expect such scale and asks if it's her first time here. Hatsu confirms this with shining eyes. She confesses her heart is beating very fast and suggests looking for shells. Hato, watching her unusual activities, starts to worry. He promised to help her have fun, but now fears such strong emotions are hurting her. Hatsu reassures him, saying she would have decided to take this step sooner or later anyway. Hatsu and Hayato sit on the shore. She thanks Hayato for his sensitivity, admitting that people usually either ignore her condition or treat it as a burden. She feels truly happy because he's the first one to show her genuine consideration. Hayato, seeing her radiant smile, rejoices inwardly. Hatsu admits she was lost and is glad for his help. Hato promises support, and she asks to be called simply by her name. Suddenly, she realizes she doesn't know his name. The boy introduces himself, Iijima Hato. Hatsu immediately realizes that his name means pigeon. She bursts into laughter, finally solving the riddle of the nickname Popokun, and vows to call him that too. Hato realizes she knew it all along. That's how their summer holidays started. The friends decide to experience every adventure possible and head to an amusement park. On the roller coaster, the roles are reversed. Hatsu is in total ecstasy, anticipating the drop from the summit, while Hato trembles with terror. He jokingly complains that his lifespan is shortening from such fear, but the girl's happy face makes him endure the frightening ride. After the ride, Hatsu, full of energy, asks to go again. Hato looks completely exhausted. He reflects on how much her school image of a quiet and gloomy girl differs from reality, where she loves to chat, laugh, and even tell good jokes. Hato treats his friend to ice cream and is surprised she has never tried it. Hatsu explains this by old prohibitions, but the very first bite brings her to indescribable delight. She shouts that it's delicious, accidentally splashing saliva on Hato, who begins to grumble indignantly. Hayato watches Hatsu as she eagerly devours ice cream. He realizes that her school image as a quiet girl has completely crumbled, and he is flattered by the thought that only he knows her real side. Days fly by in vivid adventures. Hatsu clings to Hayato in terror in a haunted house. They look at a lion in the zoo together, play bowling with excitement, and have fun splitting a watermelon on the sand. Hayato tenderly recalls how incredibly fun it was to spend time together, laughing sincerely at every little thing. In the evening, returning home by bicycle, Hatsu leans against Hayato's back. She reminisces about the day, the sea, and the pool, and says she was absolutely happy. At that moment, Hayato feels an incredible bliss. His own heart begins to beat faster, not from illness, but from tenderness for the girl who entrusted her life to him. Hato reflects on how a healthy person's heart recovers after exertion during sleep without shortening their lifespan, but he realizes that for Hatsu, things are different. Her pulse is extremely hard to slow down. The boy realizes that their exciting adventures are literally stealing her time. He wonders if her parents say anything about them spending time together every day. In response to this question, Hatsu simply gets lost in thought. Hatsu asks him not to worry because she explained the whole situation to her parents, and they understood her. They allowed her to live as she herself wants. She told them how much fun she is having now, although they looked a little sad. Hayato listens in silence and begins to say her last name, but at that moment, Hatsu hugs him tightly, wraps her arms around him, and asks him to remain silent. Hatsu begs Hato to be silent, while he calls himself an idiot for being slow. After asking if there was a misunderstanding, the young man suddenly invites her to tomorrow's grand fireworks display. With a daring smile, he teases Hatsu, asking if she's really going to start holding back now. Hato declares that she is too naive, as their summer has only just begun. Hatsu freezes in surprise, staring at him with wide eyes. Hatsu agrees to go to the fireworks, and Hato thinks it's the right decision. At night, under the light of the moon, the girl quietly thanks Popokun. A new clear day comes and the characters spend time in the park. Hato notices a strange thing on Hatsu's head and realizes it's a pick. He admits he's been curious for a long time and asks if she plays the guitar. Hatsu shows a pick she once bought herself. She admits she used to dream of the stage, writing poems and composing melodies, but the illness forced her to give it up. Hayato is stunned. He considers such a waste of talent unforgivable and insists that she sing her songs. He is sure that this is her chance to feel the taste of life again. Haruto continues to persistently convince his friend, explaining that since she puts so much effort into her songs, she simply must share them. He is sure that performing for someone is an integral part of real youth. Haruto blushes deeply, struggling with embarrassment, but eventually gives in and picks up the guitar. She warns that she will only do this once and asks Haruto not to laugh under any circumstances. The boy falls into total delight and solemnly promises to behave seriously. When Haruto starts playing, Haruto freezes and listens spellbound to the melody, swaying to the beat and feeling the music fill everything around. Haruto brings Hatsu to the light music club and enthusiastically introduces her to his bandmates. He introduces her to Sudo, the drummer and his childhood friend, Kuranami, the keyboardist, and Hikagi, the bassist. The boy explains that their band isn't famous at all and only has 4 members, so there's no one to be shy around. Haruto practically begs Hatsu to sing one more time for the guys, but the girl, overwhelmed by panic, flatly refuses and insists she will never do it. Hayato continues to insist, assuring his friends that they will understand everything once they hear her singing. Hatsu, giving a heavy sigh, finally gives in and agrees to sing. The girl takes a deep breath, closes her eyes, and begins to sing. At that very second, the room is filled with an amazing sound that leaves Hayato's friends in silent shock. The young man himself listens spellbound. Her singing turns out to be incredibly gentle and deep, as if it touches the finest strings of every listener's soul. The guys in the club are absolutely delighted. It seems to them that a real professional is performing in front of them. Stunned by her talent, Hayato resolutely invites Hatsu to become their official vocalist and perform together at the October Cultural Festival. Hatsu's idea finds support from all band members. Despite the lack of experience and fear of failure, the kids dive headlong into rehearsals. They create a new arrangement for Hatsu's song and work hard every day, hoping to be ready in time. There's an anticipation of something grand in the air. Because Hato honestly explained the situation to the rest of the members, Hatsu felt much calmer. The guys surrounded her with care and understanding, and the practice began to be enjoyable. Walking after school in the cool evening breeze, the friends recall how quickly time has flown. Hatsu jokingly says that all this only happened because Popo-kun saw her changing in the infirmary, making the young man very embarrassed. Finally, Hato suggests taking a breather after the festival and going out to have fun again, which makes Hatsu freeze in surprise. Hatsu suddenly grabs Hato's hand and squeezes it tight. She giggles and says that this in itself feels exciting. The girl lets go of the guy and quickly runs ahead. She shouts as she goes that she'll be going first. Hato freezes on the spot in total shock. He thinks this was the most exciting moment in his life. The festival day has arrived. There are many people and festive stalls at school. Backstage, Hatsu is very nervous. She says it is almost time. People around ask her to calm down. The girl replies that it is impossible. Her heart has been beating very fast like an alarm bell for a long time. Hato sits on the floor and watches her. He thinks such nerves are wasting her life. The guy suggests she go to the veranda and get some fresh air. Hatsu agrees. Kuranami tells Hato not to overdo it. The guy smiles and says he'll be fine. Hatsu stands on the veranda. She says the wind is very strong. The girl looks at her guitar pick. Suddenly, the wind snatches it from her hands. Hatsu shouts and tries to catch it, but the pick falls down. The girl runs into the building and loudly calls for Poppo-kun. Hato and Kuronami look at her in surprise. Hato is surprised by the lost pick. Hatsu stammers and confirms it. She says she doesn't know where it blew away. The girl admits the item is very important to her because she wanted to use it as a lucky charm. Friends note there is almost no time left to prepare. Hato offers Hatsu another pick, but she hesitates. Suddenly, the guy declares that he will find the lost item himself. Kuronami calls out to Hato, but he walks away and waves. He tells Hatsu not to worry and to go get ready. Hato says he has the simplest role and will definitely find everything. Harito runs to the school's backyard. He thinks the pick was blown into the bushes behind the building. The guy starts pushing branches aside to find the item. Harito sees happy students with ice cream, but continues his search. He runs from one spot to another and breathes heavily. His face is covered in sweat. Kuronami tells Hatsu that Hato found her pick. He hands the item to the girl and says Popo asked him to do it. Hatsu thanks him. She says she is very happy because she didn't hope to get the item back. Then Hatsu asks where Hato is now. Kuronami replies that he won't come. The girl is surprised and asks if he went to the toilet, as it's almost time. Kuronami says Hato won't be on stage. Kuronami tells Hatsu that she should know this. In the next panel, Hato stands alone on the roof and looks into the distance. Hatsu suddenly runs out to him and shouts his name loudly. Hato turns around and asks why she is so pale. The girl stands before him and breathes very heavily. She looks at her phone screen with wide eyes. Her face expresses great fear. A phone screen is in front of Hatsu's eyes. Hato Iijima's profile is open on it, and the counter shows 1,264 beats. Hato stands a few steps away and looks at her calmly. The numbers on the display change to 1,262 to the sound of short beeps. Hatsu looks at the screen in horror. She trembles and asks why this is happening. Hato leans on the railing. He realizes Kuronami told Hatsu everything. The guy says he has about 15 minutes left to live. He tells how his parents collected money from all their relatives for the expensive device. They allowed him to spend the rest of his time however he wanted. Hatsu asks only one thing, why he stayed silent about his illness. Hato looks at her and smiles. He says he was surprised they had the same disease. The guy adds that he really liked how she suggested spending their time having fun. Hato remembers the start of high school. He thinks about how he wanted to live a bright life, so he dyed his hair and joined the music club. Hato looks at Hatsu and smiles. He says that thanks to her, his life became fun. The guide tried to support her with all his heart. Hato thanks Takagi. Hatsu cries bitterly. Her face is very red. Hato scratches his head. He says he wanted to last until the concert but had to run around. Hato apologizes that he cannot go on stage with her. Hatsu calls him a fool. She approaches Hato and hugs him tightly. The girl says she will be by his side. Hato blushes. He says they worked very hard today. The guy promises to listen to her singing from there. Hato says singing in front of a crowd is exciting. Hatsu presses against Hato and cries bitterly. He asks her to sing for him. Meanwhile, in the hall, they announce that the next item on the program is the performance by the Light Music Club. Kuronami stands in the hallway. Hatsu approaches him. The guy asks if she has finished her conversation. He says then it is time for them to go. The band goes on stage to the applause of the audience. Hatsu stands in front of the microphone with a guitar in her hands. The audience is surprised. They whisper and ask if there was a girl in the music club. Students recognize her as Takagi from the second year, but notice she doesn't look like herself at all. Hato sits alone on the roof. Hatsu opens her mouth and starts to sing. Hatsu stands right in the center under bright lights. She sings loudly into the microphone and plays guitar at the same time. She sings for the one person who is listening to her from the roof right now. The audience in the hall is frozen and watching the stage. At the same time, Haruto lies on the roof and looks at the sky. He listens to Hatsu's beautiful voice. The guy smiles sadly and calls himself an idiot for never gathering the courage to kiss her. At the age of 17, Haruto leaves this world. Before dying, the guy smiles broadly. Time passes. Hatsu graduates from high school and becomes a songwriter. Hatsu's voice immediately spreads across the world. She begins giving large concerts and openly tells everyone about her illness. The girl sings songs that give people courage. About 40,000 people come to her last live concert. After that, Hatsu takes her last breath, surrounded by her family. Takagi Hatsu dies at the age of 21. In the photo, she is smiling broadly and joyfully. Her last facial expression shows that she was completely satisfied with her life.
So, what are your thoughts? Drop them in the comments below. And you know the drill. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next part. Catch you in the next one.